quiet.
Howdy.
Hello.
Hey guys, oh, you guys are both in Chicago, aren't you?
Something I heard is
Can you guys hear us? No.
I can hear you just great.
Good. Thank you, Mark.
Maybe that
Yes,
wasn't
sir.
who you were asking. Huh?
No, I was wondering. So just our fearless leaders who can't hear us.
Hello.
Yeah, we
Hello
can hear you,
there.
Andrea.
Yeah, you're
Oh.
there now.
Right. So, hello everyone. Thanks.
One, two, one.
Okay, we are in a room here at KubeCon, and they might kick us out,
One, hey.
but maybe hopefully not. And hopefully this was the last test. Okay, so thanks for joining today. Feel free to sign yourself.
One, two.
Maybe we can wait another minute or so to see if more people are joining today. All right, it looks like they might have finished doing audio tests. Finger crossed. Yeah. Let's see. So welcome everyone. And so I think for today, one topic we wanted to discuss that I put on the agenda is the Selenium project. So we invited few folks from the Selenium community to join us today. I don't know if more will be joining, but yeah. So I think that's the first item on the agenda. Sorry, is it Marit? I assume. Marit, sorry, wasn't sure how to pronounce your name. So Marit, thanks for joining us today. So here on the notes, I shared just a few links, the website of the project, GitHub, and governance. It was very nice and documented that I could find. Would you mind, or would you like to give us a short introduction about Selenium and why you're here today? If that's it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So first of all, kind of sorry that it seems that I'm here alone. There were supposed to be 3 of us. I just got a message from one that he had a kid-related emergency, and another one who is in India. I think he expected this to be 1 hour earlier, and this is a really difficult time. So we've been geographically challenged in a lot of ways in the project. I'm in Finland, and well, Manoj is in India. David is in UK. Simon, who still kind of works with us, is in UK. Titus in US. So kind of like, we're all over the place, and it's really rare that we get into the same physical, well, like even virtual space at the same time. The reason why we're here is that we have been looking at fiscal sponsorship and legal sponsorship opportunities outside Software Freedom Conservancy. So Selenium has been around for 19 years now, and there's still a lot of plans. We actually have about €500,000 on our kind of earmarked bank account in Software Freedom Conservancy. But we've been experiencing some troubles on accessing that money because we are busy people. We have hard time, finding us in meetings sometimes, but also it's been feeling increasingly like maybe our host is also busy people in the sense that we have had some collaboration related issues for quite some time now. The structure for how we are in SF Software Freedom Conservancy is such that they are a C3 nonprofit. All right, well, 501c3, 3C, whatever that is. I can't keep forgetting that. And our general agreements are saying that we would need to, for easiest transfer to another organization, we would need to find someone else with the same kind of status. And I am aware that CDF is not in the same kind of status. But it has been out of the ones that we've been talking to, one that we think is maybe thematically most aligned with things we're doing, because again, we have multiple languages for Selenium. It's not JavaScript only, it's kind of various languages. And reading through the charter that the CDF has seems to be something that kind of fits both the automating on the web, but also on the kind of speedier delivery of products. So in that sense, it's been looking like a possibility. But there's obviously a lot of questions on like, how are you doing things? What are the like I read the brochure on the webpage on what are the member service projects, but how does this actually work for real projects in practice? Those are kind of the questions that I was maybe hoping to, hear some of you kind of like, let us know if, if we would be welcome and what kind of frame we would be joining if this was one where we would be looking at a new home for.
Thank you. Maybe I can start, try to answer some of the questions. So the CDF, the Continuous Delivery Foundation, is a sub-project to the Linux Foundation. And so a project can join the foundation as members at no cost, but they need to go through a process basically of vetting from the technical oversight committee, that this group that we are meeting today with. And we have a set of criteria to accept or not accept project, typically based on the project community and governance, how the project is set up, and also alignment, of course, of the mission of the project with the mission and charter of CDF. So as you said correctly, the CDF aims to increase software delivery speed and security. So that's the mission, and so we welcome generally projects that help organization in that space. And it's not specific to, let's say, a specific industry or to target environment. So we have tools that support cloud native environments, but as well as embedded type of environments, or we have people from the automotive industry collaborating with us, people from telco, and so from all different kind of industries. And we've seen this year, we started the end user council, and we've seen in that context that companies from very different industries, they often end up facing similar kind of challenges than in the CI/CD space. And so that's where we hope to help them. And so that's where we stand. So let's see. So that's, so we have 2 levels of membership for projects. So a project typically join the foundation as incubated projects. And then there is a set of requirements that refer to both the project community setup in terms of open governance, contribution guidelines, and so forth, security aspects. So a security audit being performed for the project in question, and so forth, as well as adoption. So having an adopter, a number of adopters available for the project. So I can share it, or if someone has them handy, maybe we can share the links on the notes. Otherwise, we can share them with you for the process and what are the requirements for.
So I got them in
basic
email, so I
evaluation.
did read them.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Just
Right.
one thing on that, on the incubating status.
Yep.
When we look at Selenium and where you already are, my guess is that we as a group would be thinking that we would bring you in at an incubating status and try to push you through to your deserved graduated status in a relatively quick course of action. There are some things that we would have to look at to see if you have already. Governance around the community itself. Do you have a governing board? Do you have an oversight committee of your own? And those would be the things that we would want you to line up on. Everything else that Selenium has is, you're probably closer to a Jenkins project than any of the other projects that we currently have. So I think that we, as a group, would try to get you at a graduated status as soon as we could.
What's the difference between the 2 statuses, other than that there's the criteria? Like, is there some
Adoption?
practical-
It's
is
an
there like
adoption.
is there like a practical impact to the project on which status you're at?
Not really. It just gives you kind of a higher level badge to say, we're acknowledging that you've got this level of adoption, that you have this level of maturity in your open source community. And that's really the difference.
Yeah.
And also
Yeah.
there's a little bit of security work that is gone through as well to make sure you have like an audit done to verify that everything looks good from a security perspective.
Yeah, and that can cost some money, so that's got to come out of. I'm not sure where that money would come from. I don't, how did we do that with Jenkins, guys? Did
I
the
believe,
CDF pay for it?
no, I think the Jenkins project just handled it internally from our security team. I don't think we used a separate entity to do the security assessment. And I would assume, Marat, I assume you've got a security team that handles Selenium security issues.
It's the
And-
same technical team that handles all the other things as well.
Okay,
The
thank you.
separate
So
one,
it's not a dedicated, isolated team. It's the primary development team handles security issues as
It's
well.
the technical leadership group. Like, we have a technical leadership committee, and then the general maintainers group is larger than the TLC.
Thank you. Thanks for the clarity.
Yeah. So, yeah. I was a little bit kind of curious on kind of how does the kind of project finance itself, because like Selenium has been running for quite a long time with well, running conferences and having a lot of sponsors and reading the materials on the CDF pages. There's this concept of kind of like membership for CDF for companies. Is there somehow like an aim of centralizing the different companies into members of CDF, or is there also a concept of sponsorship in some way? And is there this like concept of, you know, earmarked, this project has this money, or is this somehow completely separate? Like this is all kind of things that I could not make sense of in the web pages.
So the CDF has members. The projects do not. The projects can have their own money though, and we all have figured out different ways to manage that. Within the Linux Foundation, there is a argument for creating what's called a special interest fund, and the amount of money that you would be bringing over would be an argument to have probably a SIF, what they call a SIF. It's not something that the CDF has done in the past, but like I say, I think that there is an argument for bringing, you know, if you have $500,000, it's something you want to protect. But the sponsorships would go to the CDF as a whole. Now that doesn't mean that you can't raise funds for your own efforts.
Yeah.
Like we do, like Ortelius does. We've gone out and we've gotten grants, and with some of that money, we've set up GitHub sponsorships so that we can help pay for some of the development on the project. And that's where we use the money primarily, is to pay for development. We rely on the CDF to promote Ortelius at the CDCon. And to be honest, I would say that in prior years, we just had 1 year that I was really unhappy with CDCon, but last year in particular, they did an amazing job of really promoting the projects and doing a lot of education around the projects. Each project had a little like symposium. There were a lot of interaction between the projects. For example, you and Jenkins and Selenium have been doing work together for quite some time. You share a lot of the same adopters. So that's how it's broken up now. And that's not to say that if Selenium wanted to go off and have their own conference, you could certainly do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's on the
And
list.
I would say, like Tracy mentioned, the SIF, the special interest financing, that's handled at the Linux Foundation level. So we would have to recommend to the CDF governing board to adopt something like that and work with the parent organization, the Linux Foundation, to enable a SIFT. And what that allows you to do is to basically have a lot of control over your money. SigStore is one of those that on the OpenSSF side that are under a SIF, and the money is easier to have access to. The Linux Foundation also has something called crowdfunding. Thanks, Mark.
We have not found that to be useful.
And that one is very hard to work with. You're going to be back in the same scenario that you're in right now. Trying to get access to your money can be difficult through the crowdfunding process. So that would be the one thing that we'd have to look at getting set up, would be a SIFT for your money to have access. It just gives you more freedom for the project to actually control what's happening with the money, instead of having somebody else involved. Now, one of the weird things that I ran into with the Linux Foundation was they wanted to charge a percentage of a management fee for dealing with the money. And it was a couple percent, which may not work. So we'd have to get into more details with the Linux Foundation accountants.
Yes, and the other thing
I just don't
is
want you to give money away on,
No.
to an accountant.
The other thing is you would be allowed, if you guys started a 501c3 just to manage the funds, to get the funds transferred around, you could do that and have your own management of those funds and still become part of the CDF.
Yeah, exactly. And there, I mean, there are plenty opportunities also when we, for instance, organize events or a CityCon, you can use some of those funds towards creating a better, even better experience for your community at the event. So if you want to sponsor a community event at CityCon, you want to have like, I don't know, you want to sponsor certain aspects of the conference, like having the social evening or things like that. So those are kind of activities that, you know, you can fund.
And also probably like a day zero, if you want to do a day zero day.
You can have like dedicated day zero. Yeah, exactly. So there are, those are kind of opportunities to invest some of your budget for like marketing type of activities or community building and so forth.
Yeah, and that's actually what we've been looking at, kind of what has recently been unavailable for us, is we've been hoping to pay for someone to do the work that we no longer can find as many volunteers for. Just basically like, you know, like a general director type of person or a community facilitator, or, you know, like there's so much work that we could be doing, and we still seem to be having lovely backing of some lovely companies for the project. But again, it's usually easier to move money around than to get people. So kind of making those contracts and that kind of stuff, so that it doesn't take 6 months of building a contract. Those have been the pain points that we're kind of looking at solving. And some of the conversations have led us to think that probably we would need to maybe start our own organization and then, you know, consider joining. Kind of like
I think that's the best for you guys to start your own 501c3, so the money can move over in the way that it has to.
Yeah.
And then join CDF, because, for example, if you wanted to do a day zero event, do a Selenium days, pretty much the Linux Foundation, you're going to get charged by the Linux Foundation to help put that together, but they're going to run around and do finding the room, finding food if you want to do that, organizing all of those parts to get it accomplished. And that's the best part of having the Linux Foundation as the big brother, is they have that structure to do all of that work. And that's work that none of the projects want to do.
Yeah.
Now-
I've been governing various nonprofits in Finland for a couple of decades now. And I am not particularly personally into the idea of having to run a yet another nonprofit. Again, knowing how hard it is for me to, for example, get my colleagues here to join in a call like this, trying to do that governance that is part of that kind of stuff. We've been looking at ways of avoiding that, but recent signs have been pointing us that it might not be possible.
Yeah,
So
from what Jason told me, it sounds like you have to stay in a 501c3, and the difference is the 501c6 is you raise money through memberships, and that's basically it's the difference. It's a membership nonprofit.
Yeah.
So there's nothing we can do to change that. So if you have to,
of course, and
I would get that money at a different 501c3 as soon as possible for you.
yeah, and just to give you the background here in the States, to set up a 501c3. So the first step that you do is you create a new company. It's called a C Corp. And you could basically do that online for like $500 or less. I would do it in the state of Delaware because they have the easiest ways to incorporate and make things go idle if it needs to go away. And then once you have your corporation formed, you'll need a couple people to be on that corporation to get it started, like the board of directors. And then from there, you submit your paperwork to the U.S. federal government to ask to become a 501c3, and you put your mission statement out there about what the nonprofit's going to do, what the goal of it is. and you just have to make sure it's pretty general. And you don't want to box yourself in. And then from there, you'll get a letter back saying you've been approved about a month or two later. So that's basically the whole process to get it going.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same in Finland. So I've been reading up on this stuff a lot recently, because it looks like we have to go that direction. But again, being a volunteer and doing all kinds of things, it has its challenges. But yeah,
But I think
events,
what we could
organizing stuff.
offer is, yeah, a way to more easily manage anything that you want to do in terms of outreach. That's one area that would be a lot easier for the open source community. And you're going to get more exposure to just from being in the CDF and the Linux Foundation.
Yeah. So is this group, this TOC group, is this also kind of like you have project member project representatives in this group?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay. And the other group, the general council, what I think something
Governing
general,
board.
remember what you were calling it. That's is that mostly kind of like company representatives, the members?
Yes, there are what they
representatives,
call premier members, and then there are, depending on how many general members, there's general member reps.
Okay.
So generally, if you spend the money, you get to become a premier member, and you have a guaranteed seat on the board. And then if you want to be on the board, you run for one of the general member spots. Now, the things that the governing board does is they look at the budget, they worry about any hiring that may need to be done. They look at if they're going to be doing a CDCon or not each year, how much money they're willing to spend on it. They worry about, that's pretty much their biggest focus, is where the money is going to be spent that's being brought in. They would not necessarily, we're the group that gets to decide on what projects that come in.
Yeah.
And they basically worry about where the money's spent.
Yeah, and for Selenium, the PLC has been doing very much similar things than that group: budget, hiring, contracts, conferences, investments related stuff. And the TLC, the technical leadership group or committee is doing more of the kind of technical guidance on
Right.
the
So-
Selenium project.
Right. So that's what I was saying before. You guys are probably already fairly mature in everything you're doing. I would guess that we would probably try to get you to a graduated status fairly quickly, because you already have it sounds like you have what is needed, except maybe that security audit.
Yeah, I think
And I
there's
think
probably-
that would be definitely beneficial in the project to actually do a security audit on. It's so widely in use in companies that we get weekly questionnaires of kind of like we're using it, can you let us know about your security policies? So
And just as
Right.
a side note, there may be some mandates coming down from the Linux Foundation to all projects. It says they have to do certain things to make sure that their code stays secure. There's been a lot of discussion around open source security, and the Linux Foundation is definitely sensitive to it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
again, it sounds very aligned with things that the project is talking about. Yeah,
But yeah, so that's one of the main benefits, I guess, of like getting to a graduated status, that you've been like do due diligence and check a set of criteria that have been verified by Linux Foundation, that they're saying, okay, you're a graduated project. So when someone is considering adopting Selenium, they kind of a piece of heart and say, okay, well, this project has been already vetted and reviewed by industry experts, and it's referenced as graduated. So I guess that's the main benefit, really. That plus we usually do something like a press release, and it's announced at the next available event, so you get some extra publicity. You can organize opportunity for having interviews at conferences and things like that, to promote that.
Yeah, kind of like in terms of how I'm comparing this, this is maybe a little less of a fiscal sponsorship thing and a little more of kind of like a collaborator on the outreach related things. And the fiscal sponsorship thing is still something that I still, well, we need to figure it out how we will solve it. It hasn't been urgent. It was urgent like a month and a half ago, as in kind of like we were given some indication that we might not, you know, be allowed to stay much longer. And we have some contracts in place that in case of either party wanting to leave, it's fairly speedy leaving. It's 12 weeks and find a new place for the money, basically. So we probably will want to figure this out by end of this year, but still kind of going very slowly on trying to make our choices. So that's probably the next step for us to look into, on like, are we leaving? Are we starting a new C3? And this would definitely seem like a good place to be with that one, kind of like collaborating.
Well, Merritt, I know I speak for all of us to say that we would welcome the Selenium project as part of the Continuous Delivery Foundation. I personally have always thought that testing should have a stronger focus at the CDF, and I think Selenium would be would definitely be the leader on the testing side.
Yeah. And again, Selenium is not a testing framework. Selenium is actually web driving framework, and we work a lot with, you know, the browser standards and that stuff as well. But it's a big use case. The RPA, robotic process automation, is another use case, but testing is another big use case where Selenium is kind of present. And all of this automation stuff has a kind of strong link on the stuff that is on your agenda.
Yes, it does. It's a very good match.
I think I have my answers to take back home for my colleagues in the Selenium project. What are the next steps on how I can kind of like, you know, sending you email, keeping you in the loop probably is a good agreement out of this one. But
no, I shared with you what it looks like to submit, and Andreas did too. You know what you need to do to submit a project. Our request would be go ahead and complete that. I think I gave you a sample of what we did with Ortelius. You probably already have most of it. That wouldn't be that hard to put together. And then the TOC will have an internal discussion, and Andrea will direct the next steps.
Yeah, sounds good.
And I'll be considered your sponsor. So, you know, if you do have questions or concerns, just reach out to me.
Definitely.
Because you do need to have, technically you're supposed to have it sponsored from the TOC.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's sorted already. So, and if you have questions on the proposal process, yeah, feel free to reach out, whether it's email or Slack. Here, always available. So, and I'm in the UK as well, so maybe some of your colleagues in that time zone, for you as well. It's easy to.
Yeah. Yeah, the materials looked very clear on kind of what to write down and not very complicated. Yeah. All right. We will look into this, and I'll keep you in the loop.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining today.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
That would be a lovely project, I think,
out.
to be part of the CDF.
Yeah.
From a team who's done a lot of hard work.
I'm not sure actually. Can I listen in, or would you like me to check out?
Yeah,
no, you're
I will then listen in, and I'm just curious of what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're very welcome to stay. That said, so I put on the agenda this Oktoberfest retrospective. This is something Roxanne brought up to my attention. Basically, she was looking for feedback from the project about how Oktoberfest went this year, and this is something that we touched upon already in the previous meeting a bit. But yeah, she was basically asking also whether this is something we want to plan for next year as well. Are we feeling that we get enough benefit from participating in Oktoberfest, or should we focus our outreach marketing effort somewhere else in 2024? Mark?
Yeah, so I'm strongly in favor of doing it. The Jenkins project, we saw about a 30% reduction in contributions from Hacktoberfest compared to previous years. But we saw a much bigger than 30% reduction in spam from previous years. And so for us, please, DigitalOcean, don't bring back the t-shirts. I know that's a terrible thing to say, but the t-shirts seem to have been the incentive that motivated people to spam us. And they thought they'd get a free t-shirt by spamming the project. And instead, all they got was a bunch of irritated open source developers grumbling at them that they needed to stop spamming the project. This time it was much less. There were still a few, but it was clearly that the non t-shirt incentive was a benefit, at least to the Jenkins project.
Yeah, for the Ortelius side, we got more new contributors, but we did not close as many pull requests as we had in the past, which I think is a win. I'd rather have contributors than just a bunch of random PRs getting closed, you know, the small stuff.
And now that's impressive that you got new contributors. My sense still is that Hacktoberfest for the Jenkins project mostly does not bring us people who stay. They see it as an easy place to contribute, check the box, and they go back to the university where they're studying, or they return to whatever. So for us, it's not a bring people into the main body of development effort. It's more a get them familiar with Jenkins, introduce them to it. So did you do something different there, Steve, in terms of persuading them to stay?
That's still up in the air, because we're just coming out of the month. So we'll have to see, and you know, throughout the next end of the year, what happens with those folks. So far that looks pretty good that they're keeping themselves around. But like you said, it's hard to tell if we're going to lose it, have them lose interest or not. But I'll know more by the end of the year to answer that question better.
But they did take the second step to go ahead and join the Google group and show up for a meeting, which.
Yeah, they are showing up for meetings. So that's why I'm a little bit positive. It's other than just making some coding changes.
Wow. Okay. So that already appearance in a group meeting is for me a dramatic step, right? That very much improves your chances of retaining them, because hardly ever do we get that on the Jenkins project. It's, oh yeah, here's your pull request, and they walk away.
Exactly.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Good to hear. If you discover the secret sauce that you use to get that to happen, I would love to know about it.
Yeah, I'll have to quiz the new folks on what their motivation was.
Okay.
Badges. People like our badging program. If one pull request gets you your first badge. So they'll all be honored in our holiday party. All their names will go up and they'll get new badges, and that gets them excited.
Good. Okay. So that, and that's when I'll probably want to talk to you separately, or maybe ask Tracy, you and Steve, to do a separate presentation to the talk at some future point, how you implemented the badges technically, what your technique is. We've got some limited things started on Jenkins core, but nothing that I'd say is nearly enough to retain contributors.
We'd be happy to. We could do a presentation to the TOC on our badging program and let you know what we struggle with and what would be great for the Linux Foundation to fix for us.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So Maret, since you're here, may I ask a question to you? I realize you're not part of the CDF yet, but did Selenium participate in Hacktoberfest? And if so, what were your experiences?
I think we weren't doing anything big on that. It's just kind of people will do contributions during Hacktoberfest. I think it's been bigger previous years. It was really low key this year. Got it. Thank you. And Andrea, Tecton, did Tecton participate in Hacktoberfest or not so much?
Yeah, so Tecton, well, I can say both for Tecton and CD events, they did participate in Oktoberfest. We had a very small amount of contribution, so very limited. But I can, I guess, share a similar experiences. The few folks that did contribute, they reached out on Slack, they interacted, and they did not seem stressed with like a deadline of Oktoberfest to get anything out of it. They seemed to be generally interested in contributing to the project and making some open source experience, kind of riding on the Oktoberfest wave as an opportunity, you know, as an excuse or opportunity to join the project. Again, I cannot say whether they're going to stay and continue to contribute to the project yet, but it was limited and very but positive experience, I would say. Yeah.
See, are there others attending today who were part of a Hacktoberfest effort?
So Shipwreck was also part of this year participation, but I need to double check on where we stand. But I'm pretty sure that similar to Tecton, the participation on the issues that we highlight for Hacktoberfest was pretty low. Yeah, that's kind of the summary.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So I think in general, the recommendation to Roxanne, it feels like we would say, yes, please do it again on next year. We want to focus more on, we don't want to focus on bringing back any kind of physical benefit like t-shirts, but keep the current approach of DigitalOcean has worked well. At least it has brought us quality over quantity. So maybe that's something that we can highlight. So Roxanne usually does a wrap-up blog post for Oktoberfest. Does it sound something like we want to do this year again? What do people think? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So, and we'll likely do a Hacktoberfest wrap-up blog post in the Jenkins project. We've got data to support that 30% reduction in terms of number of contributors and accepted pull requests, et cetera, et cetera. It's been a good thing to see that.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks a lot for sharing the different project experiences on this. Yeah, I'll report back to Roxanne then what we discussed today. So these are the only thing that I had like on the agenda for today. We have the usual item like any project updates or any update from the SIGs or on the roadmap. If anyone has things they would like to share about the different projects or special interest groups or anything else they would like to discuss. Otherwise, we can close 15 minutes earlier.
The only thing Ortelius is we're having our holiday party on December the 8th, I believe it is. If any of you are interested in doing a 10-minute lightning talk on topics related to cloud native, you know, trends in testing, trends in machine learning, any trends in security, we would love to have a 10-minute lightning talk from somebody from the TOC. So that's something that inspires you. We would love to have it. And you have to get it to me like by the 4th of, I just record it and then I doll it up on the front end and the back end. And I'll, for those people who are speaking, I'll set up a shared drive where you can upload it and then we run it on Twitch. And then I social network it for 6 months. And you'll get a badge for a first time outreach contributor.
So Tracy, would you be willing to again, and maybe it's not here or it's in the advocacy SIG, but I'd love to hear your Twitch, your promotion techniques, right? Because one of the things I'm worrying is I'm not promoting well enough in the Jenkins project.
Sure. what we can have a chat on it. Be happy to.
Thanks.
It takes a lot, it takes just a lot of time and focus, but I'm happy to share that.
And one of the things the benefits of doing that 10-minute lightning talk is when you go to apply for like doing a talk for KubeCon or CDCon, they have a reference point of seeing you present on a 10-minute lightning talk. So that it's out there and it gives you a good stepping stone. That's how we were able to get Sime to be able to be presenting at KubeCon last year, was through that process.
That was December 8th, you said?
Yes.
Yep.
So like December 4th is when I need the material by.
December 8th. Yes.
I think so. I'm pretty sure that's the date. Let me make sure. It's a Friday.
And we,
Yes,
because of
December 8th.
and because of Ortelius's logo is around the green alien, we have a lot of alien themed stuff going on that day.
Okay, it is the campiest, most fun conference you will ever go to.
I think it's only gonna be an hour or two this year.
And we play games on Twitch. We do really weird alien videos like Mars attacks. It's just, we have fun. We do this every 6 months, and primarily the reason why we do it is because we want our contributors to learn to talk about our product. You know, the product they're creating, they also need to be able to evangelize around it. And oftentimes people are really afraid to do talks. And sometimes I do a lot of coaching. And some of our best presenters now are ones who they're totally fun to talk to, it like on Zoom, but then when they do a talk, it'd be like, okay, this is going to be a talk about and now some of them are our best presenters. So it's all about grooming the educating and providing opportunities for the community. And we do it every 6 months.
Are you going to publish something on the City Foundation blog about this event?
I should send it to Roxanne. I already have a blog up on the Ortelia site, so I'll send it to. Thank you for reminding me. I'll send it to Roxanne.
Sure. Okay. All right. Anything else from anyone?
I know the interoperability group is changing the time for the season for our next meeting. I don't know if any of the other groups are doing the same.
Okay.
I do have one request. Could each of you please contact your elected representative and ask them to stop meddling with clocks?
Yeah, it's already done. Mark,
Good.
it's already
Okay,
done.
somebody's already taken the
Working on it.
action. Please ask
It's
your
already
elected
done.
representative to stop meddling with clocks.
We do it one more time in March. We go back to standard time, and that's the last at the federal level. That's the last time that it will be changed. And each state has to go and vote their own. For New Mexico, we already voted to go with what the federal guidelines are going to be, and I think that's what most states are going to do. So I think we're almost at the end of daylight savings time.
Yeah,
Wow.
so we'll have the spring event, at least in New Mexico, the spring event will be the last time, and then we'll be set. So you'll have to check your local state to see what they're doing.
I think Colorado is the same.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I can hope so. We have the clocks in our state. Thank you very much. Boulder has the clocks.
Right. Very near.
It will be.
It's time to go take a
do-
stand.
But
So
daylight
do you go over to the atomic clock in Colorado and reset it every 6 months?
I will never say that I ever take responsibility for doing that.
All right.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, and thanks again for joining us, Maria. Looking forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.